Ladies and gentlemen, they plan on convicting President Trump. They need 67 votes in the Senate. 67 senators. It ain't going to happen. Democrats plan on convicting President Trump. First of all, they're not going to get the votes. You're not going to get 2/3 of the Senate to convict President Trump on a phone conversation where there's no evidence that he withheld assistance from the Ukraine to specifically investigate Biden because he was so afraid of Biden's wonderfully run campaign. I mean, check out H.A. Goodman's other channel for all the just bizarre things that are taking place with Biden. Obviously, Clinton is going to be nominee. Check out my segment prior to this one. Number one, he did not commit a criminal act. Number two, there was no bribery there. He did not obtain a thing of value. Even if the Ukraine investigated the company Burisma that was funneling millions of dollars to Hunter, that's not a thing of value. Biden's potential conflicts of interest, his potential wrongdoing, his possible criminal activity, very likely no criminal activity on his part, but definitely, very likely, conflicts of interest. He is on record, on video, as basically leveraging and, threatening another country, saying that they will not receive assistance, $1 billion, and he actually states the money. You will not get the money unless you fire a prosecutor. That's the actual definition of quid pro quo. He's literally on video saying, you will not get this unless you do this for me. Trump's phone conversation with Zelensky doesn't say that. Number two, President Zelensky stated he was never leveraged, he was never pressured. President Poroshenko, before him, his predecessor, states the same thing. So on the biggest, the foundation of the argument against Trump is that he obtained a thing of value because Democrats see the world through their election chances. So if, God forbid, President Trump inquired about possible wrongdoing from somebody he's facing, that means he's trying to cheat. And that means, of course, that Biden committed no wrongdoing, because how could a Democrat ever have conflicts of interest? The only problem, though, is that not only is Biden's potential conflicts of interest and wrongdoing completely a legitimate reason to investigate or to ask the Ukraine to investigate what took place with Burisma and Hunter, his son, but also, the Democratic Party reached out to the Ukraine. That's in Politico. That's already documented. There's a DNC operative, a Chalupa, believe the name, and so that's already documented. The DNC, Democrats already reached out to and worked with a foreign country to undermine and find dirt on Trump and Manafort. That happened. There are already shady dealings between the vice president's son and a company that is being investigated for widespread corruption. So that those things already took place. And the ambassador, Ivanovich, I believe that's Yovanovitch, I believe that's her name, stated that President Obama's administration had already, Marie Yovanovitch, had already given talking points to her when she was being confirmed. Under a Democratic president, so President Obama's administration gave her talking points saying, if GOP senators ask about Hunter Biden or Burisma or anything to do with conflicts of interest, refer these questions to the vice president's office. So the notion that there were no conflicts of interest is nonsense. The notion there's no reason to investigate Biden's activities in the Ukraine and his potential conflicts of interest and his potential misconduct along with his son is nonsense. You don't. The funny thing with Democrats is there's always a money flow that they're involved in, but it's Trump with the conversation, a phone conversation. Trump is a billionaire. He doesn't need. And they say, well, he's not really a billionaire. Like, they're always trying to. Oh my God, they're always trying to like cut him down to size. It only helps him. But he's a billionaire. He was on the Forbes Fortune 500 or Forbes wealthiest list. I think the inaugural issue with his father. He's always been one of the richest men in America. If he's not in the top 100, who cares? If he's not in the top 50, who cares? Really, who cares? He never needed to sell himself or any political connections like the Clintons. Christopher Hitchens would talk about how the Clintons would sell their connections and would engage in all types of quid pro quo and all types of shady, underhanded dealings with donors. The great Christopher Hitchens. And so you have enough there to where the foundation of any accusation against Trump, the impeachment is going to be, well, they're going to try to say also that he tried to obstruct justice with Mueller. They're going to just throw the book at him in terms of their nonsensical theories. You want to talk about true conspiratorial beliefs? It's the Democratic Party. Trump worked with... Who would believe this nonsense? Trump worked with Russia to hack the DNC to inform the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated, thus giving Clinton the popular vote, while at the same time giving Trump swing states through Facebook ads that nobody saw, forcing Debbie Wasserman Schultz to resign, but again, giving Clinton the popular vote. Boy, what a convoluted way of cheating. But at the same time, they would never have hacked Clinton's servers because they just didn't. They would only hack the DNC with no classified emails. And Clinton's servers with top secret and special access program intelligence, they had no need to hack into. They had no need to infiltrate that. I mean, it was running on Microsoft Exchange software, so how could they even penetrate such a amazing, technological firewall? So the Democrats, it's a political machine. And by the way, also, you have to understand something. They know they're not going to convict Trump. They know they have nothing on Trump. They know they only have gossip and hearsay of people who just don't like him. It wasn't a thing of value. There was no bribery. Investigating a potentially corrupt politician in Biden is not a thing of value. Their corruption or possible conflicts of interest, you could say inherently would help Republicans, but sorry, that's the way politics goes. They reached out to the Ukraine, the Democrats did, to get dirt on Manafort. That's already documented in Politico and The Hill. And the New York Times documented Biden's conflicts of interest in 2015. President Obama the other day said through Politico, said Biden didn't have what it takes to become president. President Obama also said that he would intervene if Bernie got too close to becoming president. So, I mean, this is completely rigged. President Zelensky stated he wasn't pressured. They can't find anything within the conversation that is an actual quid pro quo statement. They're looking into the meaning of words and semantics. I mean, if the tables were turned, they would say there's nothing there. I mean, cash flowed from Uranium One into the Clinton Foundation, and while Robert Mueller was FBI director, you had yellow cake uranium being shipped out of the country. This is in the New York Times. When people try to disparage me as, oh yeah, he says all these conspiratorial things. No, I don't. I literally read from the New York Times. Literally cite Politico and the Washington Post. So, when Amy Klobuchar today is interviewed, and she's like, yeah, these are impeachable offenses, and I'm leaning towards convicting the president. I'm leaning towards convicting the president in the Senate. Yeah, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. You're not going to get 67 senators to convict somebody who didn't even commit a crime. He didn't commit a crime with Russia. He didn't commit a crime in the Ukraine call. They tried to say, well, he's really corrupt. He's not, actually. President Trump probably has the least corrupt administration. The media meltdown is a different story. If you had the same media meltdown with President Obama, they would find out exactly how the top secret intelligence was transferred. They would literally find out from a technological perspective how Clinton was able to receive and store top secret and special access program intelligence from secure locations within the United States government. But here, New York Times, this is a 2015 article by Joe Becker and Mike McIntyre, April 23, 2015. Cash flow to Clinton Foundation amid Russian uranium deal. This is one of the great articles in New York Times, in the history of the New York Times. Mr. Christensen, 65, noted that despite assurances by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission that uranium could not leave the country without Uranium One or Rosatom obtaining an export license, which they do not have, yellow cake from his property was routinely packed into drums and trucked off to a processing plant in Canada. A processing plant in Canada, outside of the United States of America. Okay, asked about that, the commission confirmed. This is a government body under President Obama, confirmed that Uranium One has in fact shipped yellow cake to Canada, even though it does not have an export license. Instead, the transport company doing the shipping, RSB Logistics Services, has the license. A commission spokesman said that, quote, to the best of our knowledge, most of the uranium sent to Canada for processing was returned for use in the United States. To the best of our knowledge. I mean, Putin is, believe me, he doesn't care. Putin is not afraid of Hillary. That's also the ridiculous notion. He was so afraid of Hillary. Yes, because the 20% of U.S. uranium capacity that he received, that was, he wanted 80%, so he was so upset and angry. It's like they've convinced themselves of their own talking points because the intelligence community agreed with their talking points. Well, who cares? Tell me the last time the wonderful intelligence community was right about anything. All we hear about these wonderful people over the years is, well, we had faulty intelligence, and so we had to engage in this really horrific intervention, and oops, sorry, but we tried our best. Bush's foreign policy was predicated upon faulty intelligence. And now you have the same people. I mean, this is also interesting, too. Like, President Obama fired a very good general in Stanley McChrystal based on an article. I believe it was in Rolling Stone. And people said, oh, that was a good thing to do. He shouldn't have fired a general based on an article. You have no clue if the quotes attributed to McChrystal were accurate, but he did so. And I don't even think Stanley McChrystal likes President Trump. I don't think he's a supporter of Trump. But the point is, it's like when President Obama engaged in that, fired a general, he was, cheered by the media. When President Trump intervenes to save a Navy SEAL who was exonerated in a court of law, found not guilty and innocent, the article in the New York Times is, what's the New York Times article today in the Pentagon? This is hilarious. Pentagon, Trump's intervention in SEAL's case tests Pentagon's tolerance. Well, who cares what the Pentagon thinks about anything? The president is commander-in-chief. Sorry, we have a constitution. The tolerance? Oh, the Pentagon tolerates Trump? Oh, that's interesting. Did they tolerate Bush and President Obama when he engaged in a failed NATO intervention that actually destroyed Libya and exacerbated all the problems faced in the world today? But what about when President Bush, when Bush, the worst president of all time, engaged in a whole bunch of failed military interventions? Did the Pentagon was it tolerant with Trump? Were all the generals tolerant with Trump? I mean, with Bush, were they tolerant with Bush? No. There's a great general, General Daniel Bulger, who wrote a book, Why We Lost. And a lot of what he says ties into the failures of the Bush administration and the failures of the intelligence community. When you correlate what the Bush administration was doing. How does this tie into impeachment? Because you have career diplomats who should be they should be like umpires in baseball. Like, don't know their names. You should not know about them. They just have to implement foreign policy, and that's it. But suddenly they're oh my God, he was pressuring the Ukrainians. No, he wasn't. And again, Biden's conflicts of interest are fair game. If it were the other way around, you better believe they would defend a President Clinton into going after Kushner or Eric Trump or Donald Trump Jr. if they were getting millions of dollars from a corporation in the Ukraine. You better believe that the same Democrats appalled would say, oh, well, you know what? We need to look into that. What if the Trump campaign actually reached out to the Ukraine to undermine Clinton? They did that to Trump. What if Trump purchased a dossier and had the intelligence community go after everyone in Clinton's campaign because of a dossier Trump purchased? I mean, this is so obvious. And then they have to save face so Trump can't actually go after the intelligence chiefs with too much vigor, too much energy. And so he has to say, well, they say, well, their intelligence agencies, Trump's intelligence agency, says the same thing, that Russia interfered on behalf of the Trump campaign. It's like, well, no, who cares? Who cares? Is that the only thing? You have 50,000 Pinocchios to the Washington Post. They don't believe anything Trump says. But because it coincides with their beliefs, suddenly, even Trump's intelligence agencies. President Trump it's going to take at least a year into Trump's second term for him to actually really, who was it that said, there was a president that said, it takes, it was a writer, it said that it takes a year, it takes a whole 3 years, at least, to wrestle control of the executive branch from the previous administration, and then you're going into election season. So President Trump, with John Durham and William Barr and all, he'll have a lot to work with. A lot of people are going to get indicted, but it doesn't really matter if the IG report finds intent. Their actions prove the intent. The individuals involved had the intent to undermine Trump. They state that within their own text messages. So, give me your thoughts below. Check out X-Ray Goodman's other channel. They're going to try to convict Trump. They need 67 votes. They're not going to get 67 votes. President Trump has every right to inquire or to ask another country to investigate the possible wrongdoing of people who tried to undermine his administration by working with Ukraine. He had every right to find out if the DNC reached out to the Ukraine regarding dirt on Manafort or dirt on him or whatever. He had every right as president. Furthermore, he didn't even have to work hard regarding the conflicts of interest with Biden. Biden is on video bragging about, literally bragging about withholding $1 billion from the Ukraine. So that right then, and you have Marie Yovanovitch, who stated under oath, and then you had Marie Yovanovitch stating under oath that she was given talking points by President Obama's administration regarding the conflicts of interest that Biden had, which completely bolsters Trump's, reasons for looking into this with the Ukraine. And you had Fiona Hill saying, yeah, Ukrainians worked to undermine Trump, with certain Ukrainian officials worked to undermine Trump with the Democratic Party. She admitted that. Fiona Hill admitted that. And then she says, well, when the president spreads theories that Russia didn't interfere, these are untrue. Why, Miss Dr. Hill? Why? Well, because the intelligence community has confirmed. They've confirmed that they're highly confident. They've confirmed that they're only have a viewpoint, not certain. They're not certain. They've confirmed their lack of certainty. Read the ODNI and DHS reports. They come with warranty disclaimers. We could be wrong. And their confirmation has been confirmed by a bipartisan congressional committee. Oh, the Congress is even less reputable than the intelligence communities who are wrong on the intelligence chiefs who are wrong on everything. The Congress has confirmed with certainty that the intelligence community has confirmed that they're only confident. So this is a semantic game that, like, if you passed the eighth grade, this kind of like sophomoric kind of, mentality. This is like the type of mentality that, if a young person did something wrong, they're trying to get away with it, and they're trying to bend or whatever. Anybody, an adult, they're trying to bend logic and semantics, and that's what they're all about. President Trump's going to win again. Clinton's going to lose again. She's going to be the nominee, and they're going to impeach Trump. They're not going to convict Trump, and the trial is going to actually disclose all the conflicts of interest that both Bidens have. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so very, very much.